Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, daily news, what's going on in the United States, Washington, D.C., money, investing, and the next stimulus package, which has been announced by the Democrats at $3.5 trillion. But we basically have one senator, Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia, who is threatening to dramatically cut the size of the stimulus package from $3.5 trillion all the way down to less than half of it, half the size of it, down to potentially $1.5 trillion. One single senator from the Democratic side. Remember that this next stimulus package, which is supposed to be the largest stimulus package yet to date, the largest stimulus package was the first stimulus package underneath former President Donald Trump, which was $2.3 trillion. If we go all the way back to that first stimulus package, that was the one that provided $1,200 stimulus checks and $600 stimulus checks to children. Now, the last stimulus package, the third stimulus check package underneath Biden, that was $1.9 trillion, but it actually had the largest amount of money that went to the people in the form of stimulus checks of $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, and $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college students. And on top of that, it also had the $3,000 to $3,600 child tax credits and other stimulus provisions in there, like almost $50 billion in rent assistance. By the way, I just did a really good video, I think it was today, on how one of our viewers got almost $13,000 in rent assistance and how you could too. I literally walk you through how to do that. I'll link you through how to do that at the end of this video. But even at $1.5 trillion, that's probably a starting point for Joe Manchin. If they negotiated up to, like, say, $2 trillion, that still would be a pretty big stimulus package. So I'm going to give you a latest update on that and what the other Democrats are pressuring Joe Manchin to do, as well as the latest news going on here in our country today. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out on our channel every day. If you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below, and I will keep you up to date with everything going on in our country. Social Security, anything like that. If you don't know them and don't trust them, just don't do it, okay? So just know that I will never do anything like that in the comments. If you see them, just disregard them. I have blocked like 5 spammers today alone. But even after they block them, I think you can still get notifications when they respond to your comment. So easiest thing to do is just disregard them. Just know that I check my comments all the time and I block them right away. But YouTube's been pretty good on blocking them, but it just, there's not much that we can do. I do the best I can. The FBI has released the first 9/11 document following President Biden's new executive order to release classified documents to help the families that have the families of the loved ones that died in the 9/11 attacks. The families have been asking the administration, the government administrations from past presidents to release classified documents for years. And President Biden finally obliged them after 20 years. And the FBI has now started to release documents. And they have now started to do that. The FBI released a heavily redacted 16-page report from April 2016 related to its investigation regarding the role that the Saudi Arabian government played in its supporting the hijackers who carried out the 9/11 attacks. It did not, however, include conclusive evidence regarding whether the kingdom had a function in the 9/11 attacks. The FBI agents in the newly released memo discussed their examination of phone records that seemed to link some of the subjects of the probe to an associate of Osama bin Laden or other individuals who ultimately became detainees at Guantanamo Bay. The report also details instances of which some witnesses offered information that was inconsistent with some claims made by some subjects of the investigation who rejected having any knowledge of the plot. The report does go into a moderate amount of detail, financial details, travel documents, and all sorts of stuff. And this is just the first report. There will be multiple more reports apparently set to come as there will be a lot of documents related to 9/11 being released. So if you're interested in that, it might be some light bedtime reading. But yeah, pretty interesting. Senator Joe Manchin gave an interview followed by Senator Bernie Sanders. And man, Senator Joe Manchin is getting blasted by his own party, his own Democratic Party. He's literally the one and only Democratic senator that wants to cut the next stimulus package in half. In half. So we have some other senators like Kirsten Sinema that are like, well, I'm not sure about the $3.5 trillion, but none of them want to go from $3.5 trillion down to $1.5 trillion. That's actually less than half. Joe Manchin has actually even said $1 trillion a few times. So Senator Joe Manchin is getting blasted by his own party, In fact, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a House Democrat, has said what a lot of the progressive Democrats think. A lot of the progressive Democrats actually want to spend more than $3.5 trillion, especially because what they're saying is that because the package is paid for. The package is fully paid for. Now, whether it's going to be 95% paid for or 90% paid for, I don't know the details because the Congressional Budget Office will score it when it comes down to. But Ocasio-Cortez blasts Senator Joe Manchin, saying that he's in the pockets of large corporations like Exxon, and that large corporations are paying him off basically to tank this stimulus package. Senator Joe Manchin on Sunday responded to criticism from Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who claimed in a tweet that Manchin had huddled weekly with personnel from Exxon Corporation, contending that such attacks continue to divide. AOC says Senator Joe Manchin has weekly huddles with Exxon and is one of the many senators who gives lobbyists their pen to write these so-called bipartisan fossil fuel bills. And this is true, at least in the fact that a lot of senators or even representatives, they will give lobbyists, they will let them write their portion of the bill in a way. So senators themselves will sometimes let the lobbyists write the bill for them and then look it over after the lobbyists write the bill for them. Yeah, believe it or not, that's sometimes how this is done. Our people, at least 12 last night. Not sure what she's referring to right there. At least 12 last night. Sick of this bipartisan corruption that masquerades as clear-eyed moderation. So a lot of people, a lot of Democrats are blasting Senator Joe Manchin as Senator Joe Manchin is trying to backpedal. Joe Manchin said he denied having any meetings with Exxon or any other fossil fuel lobbyists, saying absolutely not, absolutely not. He says, I keep my door open for everyone. It's totally false. And check this out. This is interesting. Senator Joe Manchin previously called for a pause in deliberations on the reconciliation bill, which many of his colleagues in the upper chamber are against, and in the House. The upper chamber is the Senate. A lobbyist for ExxonMobil this is where a lot AOC is getting this from, amongst other sources. A lobbyist for ExxonMobil was caught on undercover footage published in June, saying that he speaks with Senator Joe Manchin's office weekly. Quote, Joe Manchin and I talk to his office every week. Lobbyist Keith McCoy said, according to footage by Unearthed, which is affiliated with Greenpeace. Yeah, so Joe Manchin and I talk to his office every week, said lobbyist Keith McCoy. Gee, imagine that. Imagine that. McCoy on the recording said the senator is a kingmaker. Added that on the Democrat side, we look for the moderates on these issues in their attempts to thwart policies that may have a negative impact on the company's business, according to NPR. ExxonMobil Chairman CEO Darren Woods later released a statement condemning the remarks made by McCoy, including comments regarding interactions with elected officials. He said the comments in no way represent the company's position on a variety of issues, including climate policy and our firm commitment that carbon pricing is important to addressing climate change, adding that the company was, quote, shocked by these interviews. Imagine that. It's also interesting to note a couple different things. Number one, and I'm not picking sides at all here. I just want to kind of note a couple different things here. Number one, former President Donald Trump lowered the corporate tax rate by, it went from 35% all the way down to 21% in the 2017 Trump tax cuts. The Democrats want to raise it from 21% up to 28%. And Joe Manchin is the one and only senator that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure he's the one and only senator that only wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 25%. Does that sound ironic to you? So he says, oh, I'm willing to raise the corporate tax rate, but I only want it to go to 25%, when pretty much everybody else is okay with raising it to 28%. And remember that it was it was lowered all the way from 35% all the way down to 21%. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, 35% all the way to 21%. And then we wonder why the national deficit is just going crazy right now. It's insane. And remember that former President Donald Trump, he added $8+ trillion to the national deficit, the national debt, in just 4 years. In just 4 years. Now, let me see here. $3.3 trillion of that was the two stimulus checks, the two stimulus packages. 2.3 trillion from stimulus package number 1 and slightly less than 1 trillion from stimulus package number 2. But I mean, we still had almost $5 trillion in just 4 years from just running the country from everything else. So, I mean, we're just blowing through national debt here. That was the Republican run country for 4 years. And Biden's really not doing better. In fact, he's probably doing worse. Biden is blowing through the national debt as well. Remember, Biden, with the third stimulus check package, spent almost $2 trillion, $1.9 trillion as well. But even the Fed says that we're in a once in a 100-year. People need help right now, and our economy needs help right now. And if we didn't have all these past stimulus packages, our economy would have crashed. Our economy would have crumbled. We would have had a 1929 Great Depression. And I mean, during a once in a 100-year, when people are in need, and it's just out of control right now, and poverty is out of control right now, unemployment is still really, really bad, and 37% of small businesses have gone out of business. I mean, our economy is rough. Yeah. So I don't know, Senator Joe Manchin. You need to get, maybe someone needs to ring him up and let him know that our economy is still very, very struggling. You can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. So I will keep you up to date. Make sure to subscribe down below. You can click this top video here to watch the new video about stimulus checks and stimulus programs that have just been announced. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. You in the next video. You.